Hi, my name's Claire and I'm CEO of Why Kids, a children's charity based in Bootle, in one of the most deprived communities in the country. I'd like to tell you the story about a little girl. This little girl was full of life, full of creativity, had a real sense of adventure and fun as a small child. The eldest of three, she got in trouble for eating worms, eating cacti and fish heads that were destined for the cat. She hunted for shells and fossils, raced snails and adopted slugs. She found it difficult to make friends. Obviously, she was on the spectrum. She struggled to understand other children, and that resulted in a lot of bullying. It wasn't helped by the fact that her parents moved so often that she lived in 8 different homes, 6 different towns, and attended 5 different schools before she was 10. Sorry, I'll do that one again. It wasn't helped by the fact that her parents moved so often that she lived in 8 different homes, 6 different towns, and attended 5 different schools before the age of 10. At the age of 9, her parents took on a 24/7 business that meant she hardly saw them anymore, and family life completely broke down. She and her siblings began to be neglected, and then at the age of 11, just before she started high school, her mother ran away with her dad's best friend. She knew it would happen. She had caught them in the affair, but she never told, and carried the guilt that it was all her fault because she hadn't told. Then the abuse began, and her personality was systematically crushed. Her father soon married his best friend's wife, but she didn't really have time for the little girl. She spent her challenging teens trying to navigate adolescence, abuse, self-loathing, boys, makeup, schools, exams, all alone, for she had no trusted adults in her life. At 15, she joined a church, a youth group, and became a Christian. Her father was furious, didn't want her to go to church. They had constant fights. It was probably because he didn't want to get found out. But in teenage rebellion, she still went. And for many years, she kept those secrets until decades later, it started on other children. So she pressed charges so the children wouldn't have to. Family chaos ensued, but children needed protecting. That little girl was me, and that's my story about why I came to set up Why Kids.
So,
okay.
Claire, thank you so much, one, for joining us and also on this podcast, but also thank you for sharing your story. I know it's not easy, but I really appreciate it. So, getting straight into it, I suppose. So, can you... I suppose the first question is, do you think your experiences that you've just described have been sort of fundamental in you wanting to start Why Kids? Do you think that?
Yeah, completely and utterly. Why Kids wouldn't exist without the experiences that I went through as a young person, then also becoming a Christian. I think was quite an integral part to who I am. I felt very lost as a young person, and I didn't feel I had anyone to turn to. And when I became a Christian for the first time in my life, I felt loved, and I was loved by God, and that changed everything. I remember even having arguments in school with young people, the teenagers like you do, and it's almost like it was me against the world, but it's okay because God had got my back. And I realised quite early on that so part of my story was that I didn't like children because I was bullied. So for me to end up being a children's worker was the last thing on my mind. I had ambition to be an actor or a singer or an astronaut, and my GCSEs were all sciences, so I could be an astronaut, but you're not going to get this into space, so it just costs too much. But things really changed. So yeah, there was both my childhood, becoming a Christian, and my life being turned around and understanding what it meant to feel loved were all the basis of how Y Kids came to be and how my life changed.
So was there a particular moment that sparked that? Was there a conversation, or how did it happen?
Yeah. So at 15, as I said, I became a Christian. And as a hormonal 15-year-old, the first thing I asked God for was a boyfriend. And I was quite specific. I had a white coloured trousers. I was into men in white trousers. It was the 80s, and have a good sense of humour. I liked blonde men, all that sort of thing. And then one day, the church I'd started going to, this lad turned up at church. Before he'd arrived, my friend had said to me, "There's this lad coming to church, bet you fancy him, bet I don't, bet you fancy him, bet I don't." And he walked in, I was like, "Oh, it's him." And I spent the rest of that year in this youth group of quite a number of young people. I managed to get into his friend set, followed him around like a pet lamb, appeared outside his house just as he's running to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. "Oh, I happened to bump into you." I went full baby reindeer. So I remember I was a mixed up teenager. So then when he said he was going to a big Christian conference called Spring Harvest to do children's work, I thought, great, I'll have a holiday with him. I'm going away. So I signed up as well. Of course, it was a massive conference, so 400 children. I didn't see him all week. But at this conference, I was given a group of 10 7-year-olds. I didn't know what I was doing. As I said, I didn't like children. That was not why I'd gone to this conference.
Which is ironic because I've seen you with children, obviously. You're so good with kids.
I adore them now, absolutely. But so I had this group of 10 children, and we were told to ask the children what they wanted to pray about. So I went, okay. And I did. And this one 7-year-old said to me, "Can we pray for my brother? He's 4 and he's frightened. He doesn't want to go and see Yellow Grandad anymore." And it turned out that Grandad was dying of liver cancer. So he was jaundiced, he'd turned yellow, his eyes would have been yellow. And it frightened this 4-year-old boy. And that was my epiphany moment. I still cry now. I've told this story so many times. But it was so powerful because I realised that children were people and not monsters. That all the things that happen to children that happen to adults happen to children, but they don't have the emotional equipment to be able to deal with it. And if they don't have trusted adults in their lives, they don't cope well. When they can't talk about it, they haven't got people there to support them. And so they grow up to be screwed up adults. And I thought about all the adults I knew that were screwed up. And it was because of things that happened to them in their childhood and they'd not been able to navigate. And that's really the moment I felt called into children's work, that what if these children, young people, had people they could turn to? If they couldn't rely on their parents like I couldn't, and they didn't have trusted adults like I didn't, but what if there were youth workers or children's workers, other people in their lives they could talk to? I mean, ultimately, I want them all to know that Jesus loves them, because that transformed my life. But Y Kids came about really because I wanted children, young people to know there's always someone to turn to. And even if they haven't got those trusted adults, they can talk to Jesus. But also to have physical people there in their lives that could be there even when those who should be aren't. And that was really where Y Kids was born.
And the name Y Kids, where did that come from? Do you remember who chose it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we talk about Generation X, millennials, they're all sociology terms. Well, the children of Generation X are Generation Y, and that's where Y Kids came from.
Oh, wow.
But no one talks about the Y generation. But also, it's a question, why are children important? And why are children important to God? And I really believe that they are.
So tell us a little bit. You're based in Bootle, an area in Merseyside.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that area? I know firsthand through working with you, we've worked together for a few years now, that there's some of the statistics are shocking.
They are.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, certainly. So Bootle is an area in the bottom 1% of the indices of multiple deprivation. They've just been released again for 25 and we're still there. In fact, Sefton Council, because we're based within Sefton Council, their own statistics show that even though we're in the bottom 1%, child poverty has actually increased by 17% over the last 5 years. Around about 50% of households are low income. We have huge numbers of children, 60% on free school meals in schools. We're one of the highest crime rates in the country. It's one of the most dangerous towns to live in statistically. Children who are born in Bootle will live 10 years less than the national average, and 20 years less than affluent areas. So affluent areas just up the road like Ainsdale, somewhere like that, 20 years less. And that is shocking. And what we're about is we want to turn that tide. We want to see those statistics change. And that's by, yes, working with children, young people, working with their families, but also working with the community, with the authorities, with the decision makers and change makers, so that Bootle will change, and we're all about transformation.
So your mission for Why Kids, can you put it into a sentence?
Raising world changers. It's always been about changing young people's lives. But more recently, someone said to me, when I talked about raising world changers, they said, a child can't change the world. And that incensed me. But yes, they can. Tell that to Malala Yousafzai. Tell that to William Kamkwamba, the boy who harnessed the wind. You know, there were so many examples of incredible children and young people who've changed the world. So I'm not taking that on board at all. So we actually changed our strapline from reaching children, changing lives to raising world changers. So we're all about make change, be change, and champion change. So make change is helping young people to make a change in their own lives, to build resilience, build skills, have a hope for their future. Be change is we want children to be the change they want to see in the world. So this is about social action. Actually helping someone else can help you feel better about yourself. So we're about helping young people to see that they can make a difference in the world around them. And thirdly, the champion change is about helping to create environments where young people can thrive. So that means working with families, working with decision makers, working with authorities to create nurturing environments so that our children can thrive.
It's amazing. Yeah. And as a founder, I mean, what would you say, how have things changed since you first started?
Wow, there have been so many changes since I first started. So way, way back, many centuries ago, not long after the Bible began. When I first started children's work, we had no DBSs. We had, you could do all sorts of things without loads of paperwork. And now there is a sea of paperwork before you do anything.
So regulation.
Oh, huge amounts of regulation. And it's not a bad thing, but it's quite onerous. And we've also seen massive changes in what young people enjoy. The world has changed massively. I was doing children's work before Facebook, you know, and just think how much our world has changed in the last 25 years is incredible. So we are seeing children grow up much quicker, or I don't want them to grow up as quick as they are doing and tackling things that really they're too young to engage with, but also social media and the pressure, that the bombardment of information that steals their innocence, their access to stuff they should not be looking at. And then also a society that keeps saying we need to tell children all these things. No, we need to protect them from these things until they're old enough to deal with it. So is
that talking about social media in particular, or
social media and society?
Just society in general.
Yeah. Pushing, lots of pressure groups pushing to have their voice heard. And it's like, well, actually, what we need is pressure groups to push for children to be protected and make their own decisions when they're old enough, you know, when they've got that emotional equipment to be able to make decisions, when they're seeing things from multiple points of view. So one of the things that we try to teach is critical thinking. So you don't just believe what you read on TikTok. You don't just believe what you read in the paper. And learning what is fake and what's real. And actually, there's always more than one viewpoint.
And actually, it's okay to change your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You can think one thing one day and switch it to think something
absolutely
the next, and that's okay.
But in all of that, you have respect. So one of the things I've seen a lot more recently is that if you don't believe the way I do, you're wrong. And there's no respect for opposing opinions. And I usually talk about
and
it.
And that's dangerous, Claire, isn't it? Because you end up living in an echo chamber, I think.
And algorithms on social media make you live in an echo chamber. But I tend to think about it and talk to the kids about it. And it's perfect being in Liverpool, about football. Because, you know, we have Everton and we have Liverpool. And some people are, oh, yeah, I'm a blue, yeah, I'm a red. That's okay. Are you wrong to be a red? Well, no, you just like a different team. So, but we can both still play football and we can both be friends and we can agree to differ and still be friends. Yeah. And I think there's as you said, a polarising of society that is dangerous, and we need young people to have a broader understanding of society and love people and care for people and respect people. You don't have to agree with them, but you do have to respect and love people. And I think that's really important.
Definitely, yeah, I couldn't agree more. So with Why Kids, can you tell us about an example or a couple of examples of families? How in practice have you actually helped families or individuals, etc.? Because I think that's really important, isn't it? That one of the reasons why we like working with you is because we work quite closely with you. I see what is going on, what you're doing, but I'd like you to share a little bit more about how you're actually helping people in the community.
Yeah, sure. So one of our values as a charity is children first, always. But it's about being part of the community and not doing to a community. And it's also about being committed to the long term. There are lots and lots of programs out there. You can come in 6 weeks, turn a child around and go off again. It doesn't work. You might make a little bit of an impact, but to make real impact, you need to have a long-term commitment to children, to families and their lives. And we have a long-term commitment in Bootle. So we've been there over 20 years now, and we've got 20-year-long case studies. So we've taken children when they're 7 and seen them now adults with their own children who are 7 or older coming to our projects. There's all sorts of different stories I could tell from families who have not needed to go to loan sharks because of the projects we've put in place to help them. We've seen one of my favourite stories was a young person who came off drugs because now they'd found friends, not because they went on a drug programme, but they didn't need them anymore.
They went socially isolated.
Exactly. Another young man who they came to us with a carer, said, he won't come out of the house, he won't go anywhere. So I'll have to come with him. And I said, well, we don't normally do that, but if you sign up as a volunteer, you can stay as long as you stay away from him in the club, because, that wouldn't be healthy for him. And after 2 weeks, he turned around to her and said, I don't need you anymore. He'd actually met with other children that were like him. He was a bit quirky. He'd met a lad who was also quirky. And they would go around each other's houses. He made friends. He found his tribe. And I think that's so important for all of us. We need to know a place where we belong. I know of families who are in terrible debt, who are now out of debt because, again, another programme we introduced them to, and have managed to get work, build their confidence to get work.
Practical advice.
Absolutely.
And tips, and people that you work with, Why Kids as an organisation work with, that can help people do it for themselves as well, which I think I know you're a big advocate.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we encourage volunteering. So we want our families to feel that we don't do to them, that they're part of our family. And so a lot of our parents and our young people volunteer in different things and get involved and do social action for the community. One of my favourite stories, and she won't mind me telling you, is a young girl. She was 7 when she came to us. cheeky, shy little thing, was in one of our first ever projects, the Carnival Costumes Project. And I think she was a cactus, and I still have the photographs. And we marched in the Lord Mayor's Parade. The year it was City of Faith, and so what we'd done is we'd created costumes that were all from creation, because they're part of the 3 major world faiths, or have a creation story. So we thought you can be any animal, any creature, any tree, any plant, any insect. So the children chose what they wanted to be, and we worked with them over a number of weeks to make costumes. We marched in the Lord Mayor's Parade. We won best costumes. It was great. So that was when we first met her. And at the time when Y Kids started, we were only doing children's projects. As we got a bit bigger, we found that children were actually more vulnerable when they hit teens. And needed more support. So we started doing teenage work. And now, unfortunately, this young lady we weren't doing those at the time that she hit teenagehood. But at 18, when she was 18, we opened our first social enterprise. And it was a cafe. And she applied to be an apprentice in the cafe. Now, I saw her application and there was nothing on it. She'd got no qualifications. She's left school without any qualifications, and she had a small child. And she thought, that's it, I'm washed up, no one's going to employ me. But we knew her, said, you know what, she's someone who needs a chance. So we gave her the job, along with another young man, and she refused to come out of the kitchen. She was so shy. She didn't know how to cook a piece of toast. Over the next 8-9 years, she went through 4 apprenticeships, eventually becoming the manager of that cafe. She fell in love with the other young man that we'd employed. They got married, which is lovely, and have a couple of children of their own. So they've got 3 now between them. And when COVID hit, we were very badly hit. We couldn't continue to pay rent on the building and pay wages with no income at all. So we had to close the enterprise. But she wanted to go to university, and she'd gained enough points through all the training she'd done with us. So we said she would never leave, though, because she was so loyal. And we went, right, that's it. University, off you go. So she went to university, and she got her degree in environmental health, and now is working for a company in environmental health with just incredible prospects for her family for the future. And then more recently, she became one of our trustees. So it's full circle.
It's amazing.
So we've got this young person, and we're so pleased to have her on the team because she has been there, done that. She understands the families, and she's seen the full cycle of being engaged with Y Kids over the long term. So, yeah, we've
and how it can have such a positive effect on somebody's life.
Absolutely, yeah.
Amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about the Believe Awards, because it is my favourite time of year, for speaking from, I go to a lot of events, etc. And the Believe Awards is always my favourite.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about it. Who came up with the idea? I mean, it's huge now. Just talk a little bit about it, please.
Sure. So the Believe Awards came about because we saw so many amazing and incredible young people who were just overlooked. And then you hear all this rhetoric around, kids of today. Apparently Socrates said the same thing. So, but what we really felt, particularly with Bootle being a place where children are overlooked anyway, and there's incredible young people who are carers, who are fundraisers, who are literally saving lives, and they're just children and they don't get seen. So the Believe Awards really was set up to help those children to be seen and to see that they're believed in. Because the power of an adult or a group of adults saying to a child, I see you, thank you, you're amazing, it sets young people up for life. And so it began, our first one was in 2012, and we took over the town hall. And since then, it's just got bigger and bigger. We've seen children who have nursed their parents. We've seen an autistic young man who saved the life of another autistic young man because he wanted to commit suicide, and he understood him, so I was able to talk him down. We saw a young man who brought about the campaign to bring down the price of bus tickets. Before we had the great system we've got now, young people at 13 had to pay full price on a bus. He said, I'm in school, I'm not allowed to work. Why am I paying full price? You're just taxing my parents. And he won, which was amazing. And a little girl who was 7 who made fudge and raised money for the earthquake in Tahiti. It's just
some just
things,
amazing.
Yeah.
And you can feel it on the night, Claire. I think that's why we love it, is the energy in the room. And I don't think you get that kind of energy from adults. I think it's all about the children, which is why we love it. It's such a fun evening. And it's such a beautiful evening, actually. Yeah, I absolutely love it. So, yeah, amazing. Are you having one again next year?
Absolutely.
Is the date set? Are you allowed?
Yes, it is. I'm trying to remember. It's the first Friday in July. But I can't remember what that date is, whether it's the 3rd or the 1st or something. And our theme this year is going to be storybook. So each of the awards were based around a storybook character. For example, Matilda, who brings a little magic into the world. The awards are, what we will do is in January we'll launch a competition for anyone to nominate any child. And then, as you know, we have the very difficult task of actually reading through those nominations. One of the things I find that people sometimes nominate children for bravery because they've had a difficult physical condition or illness. But actually, the awards aren't set up for those children. There are bravery awards. Mm-hmm. Actually, they often have a sibling who's done all the nursing in the background, who's doing everything and not had any attention because, quite rightly, the parents are looking after the other child. Often they're the heroes, so they're the sorts of young people that we want to recognise and thank them.
Ones that have gone maybe a bit more unnoticed.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're doing incredible things in the background.
Absolutely. So this year, we're delighted to have a young man who was a break dancer, 11, and competed against adults. And he would raise money for Down syndrome because his brother had Down syndrome. And it was beautiful. And as you remember, he did us a little show.
He was amazing.
I've never seen anything like it. He was
he was so cool.
This little 3-piece suit spinning on his head. It was just magical. And then we've also had young people who have represented their community at Parliament. And so the range is huge. It's just, we want young people to know that they're special, that they can achieve, and that adults believe in them. And again, it's going back to that not having trusted adults in your life. For some of these young people, they just go under the radar. They don't see that the rest of the world, there's so many people who want to believe in them. So it's so powerful to have a room full of 250 or more people.
But even the room is set up in such a glitzy, glamorous way. It's amazing. It really does make them feel special. Yeah. I feel special in that room. It's amazing space, and you go all out with the decorations and the theme.
We want to sort of create family wedding feel. So it's corporate, it's posh, everyone's in their best clothes and looks wonderful.
It's a celebration of these kids.
Absolutely. It's a celebration and it's fun, and children don't feel that they have to sit still and be quiet. And the adults don't feel they have to sit still and be quiet either.
Good.
the amount of adults at the sweet table, yeah! That's great.
So what would you say, if you had to say one thing has been the most rewarding part of your journey leading the charity?
I don't think there is one thing, but there's one type of thing that always makes me go, yeah, this is what I'm doing it. And actually, I get excited when children get excited.
You're just a big kid, really.
I am, yeah, because I know that that's creating memories, feeling seen, feeling loved. That's my dopamine hit when I see these children smiling and happy. So last night we had a group that went ice skating, and just knowing the fun that they had and that excitement, for me, I think I was probably more excited than them.
Where was it? Where did you go?
To Box Park in town. Yeah.
Nice. Okay then. So challenges. What's the biggest challenge that you faced since you've started, do you think? I mean, COVID was probably up there.
No, COVID was great.
Oh, really?
It was very challenging just before COVID. I think the biggest biggest challenge has always been funding. There's been massive changes in the last few years with austerity, massively decreasing donations generally, which across the board have gone down 50%. Corporate donations and individual giving has gone down 50% over the last few years. So as a charity, and there being more and more competition, lots of people are setting up small charities. Lots of funders, and if you're not in the charity world, people don't realise, but lots of funders have changed the way they do funding. During COVID, a lot of funders just threw money at people. And we were one of those charities who, thankfully, we operated all the way through. And as a result, doubled the number of children we work with after COVID. But then the money stopped because all the funders said, "Oh, we've spent up, for next year." So, and then, now we're going to have to review our systems. A lot of the big funders either stopped funding or changed the way they did things and became quite niche, which was the opposite of everything that the voluntary sector was saying. So a lot of the funders who funded us changed, and because we're not a niche organisation, what we tend to do is we do work with refugees, asylum seekers, children with special needs, just across the board. But we don't put people into silos, because we believe that in life you've got to learn to get along with people who are different to you. Mm-hmm. So therefore, you'll be in different fun groups and things where you'll learn respect for each other. But that means that funders then go, "Well, you're not doing mental health work." "Well, yes, we are, but we're not a mental health specialist." "You're not doing refugee work." "Well, yes, we are, but we're not a refugee specialist." So that funding has been one of the biggest challenges. And I think the cost of living rise has massively impacted us as a charity. All our bills
there's
have gone
more
up.
demand, basically, but then you're also as a struggling, feeling the pressure.
Massive, yeah. So we've seen demand shoot through the roof, much more need, but then
all of your overheads are still continuing to rise as well.
Absolutely, especially salaries. And that's a constant worry, because you want to treat your staff really well, but with minimum wage going up £4 an hour in the last 5 years, just trying to keep up with that is
and also
really
I think
hard.
There's an element, I know you're very ambitious, and you want to try and create a great place to work as well. You want to attract the best staff, the people because that really will have an effect on the people that you're trying to help as well, and that's hard when it's very competitive.
Yes, it is.
So your vision for the future of Y Kids, we spoke a little bit before, and you said, "I won't be retiring," which, I didn't, no surprise. But what is your vision for Y Kids, the future of Y Kids?
So, stability is really want us to be on a stable footing and be there long into the future for our community. So that's all our general groups and our family support work and things like that. We also run Kingsley & Co., which is our Victorian Explorer steampunk themed children's bookshop.
It's gorgeous.
It's wonderful, and it's having such an impact on the community, and all our books cost £1. My vision for that is to see that really grow and become a model that can be replicated across the country. We're seeing libraries close everywhere, but this is a different way of getting books into the hands of children. And all the creativity around it. And I'm really pleased to see finally someone started publishing, it was on the news recently, about how creative mental well-being, it's like we've been saying it for years, creativity massively improves mental well-being, and it's being acknowledged.
It's a form of escapism as well, isn't
it? Absolutely. And it's also the whole, if a child enjoys reading, I mean, stats show that they will have better mental health and earn more in later life. But if they enjoy reading, it increases their vocabulary, which improves their attainment, which gives them more opportunities. So it's a no-brainer, really. But it's not just reading a big fat book with lots of small words. There's actually oracy as well, and being able to speak well. There's drama. There's so much around literacy that's wider than just sitting and reading a book, that is so important for young people's well-being and of all of our well-being, and our creativity. And one thing I keep saying is that in 20 years' time, the jobs that our children will be doing have not been invented yet. So they need to be able to think critically. They need to be able to think creatively. They need to be able to think on the hoof. And those are all skills that are taught through creativity. So my ambition for WIKE is that, that we're here and strong for our community in the long term, and that Kingsley and Co will will grow even more in impact nationally. One of our projects, the Bootle Children's Literary Festival, we've just had it. It's a 3-week festival, and we reached over 8,000 children over those 3 weeks.
Amazing.
What I would like to see that is, it's the Hay of the North. You know, that people will come from all over, and it will become a regional event that will just celebrate children and young people's books and stories and creativity. And then the other thing I'd really like to do, and this is just one of those little dreams, I'd love to have a festival wagon. So it sounds a bit mad, but if you can imagine something like an old-fashioned library van, but completely pimped up to look like a steampunk vehicle with all sorts of things that come off it and move, and then be able to actually take Kingsley and Co to schools, to open our pop-up bookshop. We literally open it up, and there's thousands of books, all for £1, that children can go and buy, and take authors into the schools, and drama, and be able to actually
Inspire,
get out, and get out into the community, and drive the van anywhere, and then in the summer be able to do festivals again, promoting children's literacy and books and joy.
That's amazing. So finally, and just to finish, how can businesses and or individuals help?
Brilliant. Well, we're always open for help. And yes, of course, there's the traditional make a donation. That always helps. We'll never say no. But we actually like to build partnerships with people and partnerships with local businesses. So we want to be able to do things that help promote your business, help particularly your staff well-being. So we'll come and do fun days. We'll come alongside. We'll come and do talks. We also offer volunteer days, so you can come down and see things hands-on. So there's sort of like corporates, individuals, again, donations, regular giving, volunteering, donations in the way of good quality secondhand children's books. Or if you've got particular skills, we're always looking for skilled people to do certain things. And
because you have 2 premises as well, don't you?
We do, yes. And we also do events like the Believe Awards. I'm becoming a sponsor for that. Or this year we're going to be doing the 3 Peaks. If anybody wants to walk the 3 Peaks with us. And also we have one of our team in the London Marathon. We actually got a ticket in the draw. So he's 40 this year, so he's doing 40 challenges, culminating in the London Marathon. So any support for all those sorts of things, we would love to hear from you. The way to get hold of us is through our website, which is ykids.co.uk. And there's all sorts of, you can donate, volunteer, all sorts of things on the website there. Or get in touch, email, again, emails on the website, or phone us. We'd love to hear from you.
Claire, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.